Here's a question from a sample test. Let's look at each answer and talk a little bit about why one answer is better than the other. In number 1, many people do not believe that pollution has disastrous long-term effects on the environment, but eventually they will have to accept the overwhelming evidence, and eventually is correct because it's the present tense. The other choice, finally, is really about the past tense, so we'd have to rewrite the sentence and make it also in the past tense. Question number 2 should read, there was no prior warning of the storm. It took everyone in the village by surprise because prior means before, a warning before the storm, while former really talks about a different storm in the past. So you might say former warnings were only on the radio, now they are online too. Question 3 has an adverbial clause, when. I was the only person standing under the large tree when the rain came, so I was lucky and didn't get wet. If we use during, we need an object of the preposition during, and so we get I was the only person standing under the large tree during the rain, so I was lucky and didn't get wet. Like question number 1, question number 4 deals with the present tense and a different kind of past, previous past, not the past in the sentence. So we should have, here is the weather forecast for today. Initially, it will be sunny, but clouds will develop later in the afternoon. If we use previously, we're talking about the weather forecast itself, so we might say something like, previously the weather forecast was at 6, now it is at 6:15. The way question 5 is written, next is an adverb, like first and second. If a hurricane strikes, the first thing to do is to get inside. Next, you should shut all the windows and doors. If we use the next step, now next is an adjective describing step, so we need to put another verb in the sentence. The next step is, you should shut all the windows and doors. Question 6 has one idea followed by 2 consequences. If there were only one consequence, a dramatic rise in sea levels, then either choice would be acceptable. The effects of global warming will be seen in the future, ultimately leading to a dramatic rise in sea levels. But because there are 2 choices, ultimately has to be the final choice, because ultimately means last, and so eventually comes first. The effects of global warming will be seen in the future, eventually leading to a dramatic rise in sea levels and ultimately flooding vast areas of low-lying land. Wow, that's a lot to think about, and there's probably something to argue about too. So if you have any questions or arguments, put them in the comments below and let's start talking.